Remember, I was telling y'all that Officer Tatum kept throwing shots after shots after shots at Candace, but it seemed like he would never say her name. Like he was in fear of saying her name. Well, now he's finally saying her name. Even in the title, it's called "Why Are You Still Friends with Candace?" So I mean, this is a clear, his finally he's saying her name and he's explaining that yes, he is still friends with Candace, but the Israel stuff he just can't get behind. And he actually gives Candace a warning, and it's kind of, I mean, he says the quiet part out loud, like you might want to leave this alone, or it's going to end up bad for you. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it, y'all. Y'all, I don't know who this Stella person is, but she's Jewish. And so, she feels strongly about the stuff that Candace was saying. So this is how the conversation kind of started. So we're kind of going towards the end where he brings up Candace. So let's go ahead and get into it, you guys.
Yeah, that's the dangerous part. I see it. And it's sad because what I often say is that, yeah, I didn't count every single one of them, but 6 million, 5 million, 4, 3, exactly. 2 million. There's still millions of people were murdered,
right?
For being Jewish,
right?
And many, and there were some weirdos in there, like I think some Jewish people, like we see today, every religion or every race, you always got knuckleheads in there. And so there were some people that probably exacerbated a negative image towards Jews, but then anti-Semitism painted everybody. So everybody got to die now, right? I mean, even now, I know some Jews that annoy the heck out of me, especially the liberal ones. But that don't mean some of my conservative Jewish friends, like even Ben Shapiro,
So he only hates the liberal Jews. So it's only okay to be an anti-Semite towards the liberal ones. You can't make this stuff up, y'all.
Candace is one of my really good friends, and I don't like the way that happened at Daily Wire. I know why it happened. I don't like the way it happened, but even Ben Shapiro has done so much for America, and Daily Wire has done so much for the movement. How can you then categorize him and Dennis Prager and some of these other Jewish people that have been a force in making America the greatest, the way that it is today?
Is it hard to have a friendship? But is it hard to have a friendship with somebody who, like, clearly there's a lot of things. I mean, she seems very much obsessed with just talking about the Jews, even like all.
Kind of a quick flashback before she gets into it. This kind of reminds me, I don't know if you guys paid attention, but remember, like, none of Candace's friends came out and said, oh my God, this is wrong. I want to say it was only like about 3 people, and I don't even remember who those 3 people were, but hardly anybody came out in defense of Candace or like, it's wrong that she got fired from Daily Wire, blah, blah, blah. Like, no one said anything. Everybody was on mute, literally.
All roads lead to Jews, whatever it is. Yeah. I'm just, is that like hard to have that kind of friendship?
Yeah, it's not. It's because, see, if I was Jewish, it would be a lot harder to me. But I have a history with Candace. Like when we first started, she wasn't saying this about Jews. So we have a history of way back when she was Red Pill Black and I'm Officer Tatum, and she stuck by me and have supported me from then to now. And so that friendship it's hard to get rid of that friendship. And I would never get rid of.
Yeah, because there are coons looking out for coons. So basically, hey, you another Republican, I'm a Black Republican, you a Black Republican. We got to stick together and push the narrative that Black people are inherently evil and bad and violent so we can make our money. So it's hard for him to go against his fellow coon. So that's basically what he's saying.
Of my loyalty and friendship to Candace. And like, it's like a family member.
Right.
Like some of my family members are not any of them that I talk to now, but they still talk behind my back, because some family members tell me that, they still talk about you. You're still my family. And I still go to the cookout. I just don't want to hear you talk about this. And when we hang out, you got, unless you want to argue with me, then we ain't gonna bring the topic up. And I think that's the difference. Like Tucker Carlson is not my friend. I don't know him whatsoever, and I bash him every chance I
saw that on X.
And there's other people who are not my friends. We don't have a connection, so I don't have to be friends with them, and I can not listen to their content anymore.
But if you let me, I just want to tell you the thing that's very dangerous about what Candace Owens is doing. And even though she is your friend, and she would probably say, "Oh yeah, you're gonna accuse me because of me." But no, when you start with this kind of anti-Semitism, I'd rather use Jew hatred. Okay, it's Jew hatred. When you spread this kind of Jew hatred, and you're constantly blaming the Jews and all these people who start hating the Jews and whatever, the next thing you know, they're shooting up a synagogue, or they're going to a school, and it just pains me because I have children too. It's scary. It's really scary because you're putting.
What's so funny, and they kind of get into it, and we're gonna have a discussion about it after they finish, but when they demonize other groups of people, Black people, Muslims, LGBTQ, they don't think that in turn there's crazy people out there that can then hurt those marginalized group of people. Like, you guys don't look at that and be like, oh, well, maybe this can lead somebody into wanting to do something. God forbid, hopefully nothing happens. But unfortunately, there was just some attacks this weekend, right? But this can incite people to do things. So what are you talking about? It goes both ways. But when it's you, that's when you care. That's basically what she's saying. I only care when it's Jewish people. I don't care when it's y'all other people.
These thoughts in these wackadoodles' minds. And that's where I think what she is doing is very dangerous, because it's like she'll say things like, trust me, I know, I have on good sources, I have this. Show the receipts. That's the problem with the other side right now, is they're just like, they just say these things like, trust me, bro, I have the receipts. And then they put these things out there. They play offense. They play offense, and what they do is they put the people like you and I on defense. So we're constantly like defending ourselves, but they just like, really, that's literally what's been happening lately. They just throw all this stuff out, and it's like it's almost like they light a match and they set the fire and let it go. And a lot of people who may not even know Jews or just hate Jews altogether, this is dangerous.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And my theology with friendship and loyalty is that I'm the most loyal person ever. But I think that people should not unfriend people who they disagree with or say things, because who's better to articulate or to convince? It's better for me, in my personal opinion, when it comes to Candace and anybody else that's actually my friend. It's better for me to talk to this person and have friendly debates, because she knows that I love her and she trusts that I'm acting in good faith when I criticize things that she say, or if I have to call her on the phone and say, hey, let's talk about this.
Here's the thing, but has he talked to her? Has he called her? Have you done that? Because all those little subliminal shots that you were doing without saying her name, like, did you actually call me like, hey, I had to talk about you today on the show? Or have you not even engaged with her? And it's so funny because you had one, talking about Officer Tatum, had one interview with Charlie Kirk. And now after Charlie Kirk's passing, he is selling Charlie Kirk merchandise. Now, I know these people will say, oh, we're giving all the proceeds to Turning Point, blah, blah, blah. That is weird that you're selling merchandise of somebody that you barely really even knew. Whether you like or hate Candace, at least she is not selling Charlie Kirk merchandise. Like, come on now. Man, when Candace Owens is the moral compass, you know we in a world of hurt. And by the way, a lot of y'all go like, stop stopping and going. Y'all know there's the Fair Use Act, the Copyright Act. Like, I have to stop and give commentary. Like, come on now. Just shut up, hit that like button and subscribe and enjoy the commentary, damn it.
It's better, and I hope people would diagnose this, it's better to remain friends and talk to your friend about it. And if there's debate that needs to be had, you debate about it with somebody that actually cares about you. It's the same thing with my wife. I felt like that she was slipping a little bit, but I'm not going to divorce my wife.
No, I know.
But through me talking to her, and over time she see what I'm saying. And it's the same thing with my family members. Like some of them, all of them that didn't like what I was doing at first. Hey, I don't have to cut you off because you still need to hear what I got to say.
Right.
And then now they all like me. My best friend, ride or die. I'll fight people for my best friend. And, you know, if it came down to some life or death, I'll put it all on the line for my friend, BJ. And so, but me and BJ, when I became more political, he was posting Black Lives Matter stuff. He was all in that thing. But I'm never going to not be friends with my dog. And what happens? We hang out. We still friendly. He know I still love him, but he's watching my content. And over time, he's like, you know, it's hard to like not see it. And what do you know? Now, he vote for, you know, he support Trump. He's anti, when the vaccine hit, all of the things that I said to him, all of the things that I post, he like, I get it now. So that's the same thing.
So I agree to a certain extent, like you shouldn't unfollow people just because they have different political views and stuff like that. I definitely agree with that. But I think it gets to the point, and I can only speak from a Democratic liberal standpoint, right? That if we're having a debate about whether or not my existence matter, we're not having that debate. You know, we might have, you know, you might start gasping for air once I karate chop you in the throat, but we're not having a conversation on whether or not my existence matters. Like we're not having a debate about that, because again, with the Charlie Kirk stuff, it was all like, oh, well, you should be able to debate him. He literally said that the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. Do you realize, like, if we didn't have the Civil Rights Act, we wouldn't have any rights? Like, that's not up for debate. Like, that just sounds stupid. Yeah, let's debate it. Okay, well, one thing, I wouldn't be able to debate you, you know, one, because we wouldn't even be in the same vicinity of each other to even have a debate. Two, that's the dumbest thing ever. Why would I debate whether or not I have rights to voting, housing, jobs? Like, why would I debate that? That's common sense. Like, yes, we should have the Civil Rights Act so we all are equal. Well, perceived to be equal, right?
I think about Candace is that I know a lot of people always ask me, like, how could you be friends with her? It's like, because I believe that if I continue to be consistent and I'm always preaching the truth, that if we remain friends and I can talk to her, maybe she will change her perspective, because it is no way in the world that somebody can perpetually go down the path of hating Israel the way many people hate Israel. It's not going to end well. Like, and I personally think this with my whole heart. When you bash Israel, everything in your life will begin to go downhill, whether it's now or later. And I have seen this happen to people. We can look at all the celebrities. We can look at all the countries. I mean, you want to keep it real. They say the Jews were exiled from all these countries. Where are they at today? The Romans did it. Where are the Romans today?
Right.
You know, if you continue to go down the path to hate Israel, where are you? Like, I want us to, this is like a pivotal point. Let's evaluate everybody. Tucker, anybody that's saying anything negative about Israel that don't eventually change their mind. Let's see in 5 years where they end up. I personally think people will risk losing their entire platform. They will risk losing their entire reputation, because at some point it consumes people to the point where they go up and beyond, and then people start watching them and saying, this person has gone off the rails. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
this person is now,
it's starting to happen somewhat to Candace, but Candace is committed. She is doubling down and tripling down. And you, as her friend, maybe she will see that the Jews are not the problem. There's a lot of problems in this world, Brandon, but Jews are not.
Listen, I will say this. Candace is one of those people where she realized, because again, you have to remember with the right, the conspiracy theories, they own that. Anybody who's a conspiracy theorist is more than likely right-leaning Republican. They own that. You know, we know from QAnon, Pizzagate, we know from that, right? So Candace knows her lane with the conspiracy. This is why she calls Brigitte Macron a man and all these other things. And tying Israel to everything. And I do think it gets to a point like, damn, you can't tie Israel to everything, because then it does look like, okay, well, it just seemed like you have a problem with Israel. Like everything that you connect to is Israel because you stub your toe on the bed. It's Israel. Like, come on. It's a little ridiculous at a certain point, right? Totally get it. That's a fair argument. But to try to say you can't say anything about Israel, like you have to be on the hush, you can't say nothing, that's a problem. That's a problem. Because again, people like Officer Tatum, Candace Owens, or even your average day Republican on Fox News have no problem saying anything about Black people. We gonna keep it real, right?
Not the problem. We have a big problem. You know, the Biden administration left our borders open. We've been infiltrated. We've been infiltrated by jihadis, and that's a problem. Like my best friend Siggy Flicker, she says, oh, this, I actually wrote this down. Charlie Kirk says immigration without assimilation is invasion. Okay, that's what Charlie Kirk says. But my best friend Siggy Flicker said, infiltrate, populate, dominate, and never assimilate. Okay. That is the problem that we have in the United States right now. So Jews are not your problem. I promise you, Jews are not your problem.
Well, that kind of proves the point that I've always made. Jews are white. Yeah, because you guys can assimilate into culture. Basically, what Charlie Kirk was saying, like, listen, when you get here, you come in quiet, you shut up, don't say anything. We don't want to see your flags. We don't want to see your language. You know, if your name was Quan Lin, your name is now Charlie Knowles or something generic or something like that, right? You have the American flag, you cook barbecue, you know, raw and all that shit. They don't want you to speak your language, talk about your culture. They don't want none of that. And just like when people try to say, oh, well, the Italians and the Irish, they were discriminated against. Yeah, we know that. But essentially, what do they mark down when they say, what's your race? They mark white. They were able to assimilate into culture easily. Come on, there's a difference.
If you have not interviewed this young girl named Elika, I don't know if you know who Elika is.
I know exactly who she is. Yeah.
She laid it out so perfectly on the interview that I did with her. It's a scapegoat. The people who are trying to kill us all and dominate the world and not assimilate in America are allowing or creating propaganda and using useful people to scapegoat Israel while they do dirty work in the background. I ask people this question all the time. I'm like, who's the biggest threat to America? Let's listen. Israel didn't fly planes into buildings on 9/11.
Here we go.
Israel is not blowing themselves up in the middle of Times Square. Israel, you cannot find a Jew and not that I know of, that have done a mass shooting in America. You will not find Jews doing terrorist attacks all over the world. So then it makes you think, who is the biggest threat? Who is purporting conquest? Because the Jews have one little slither that's a state. They're not trying to take over Syria. They just want peace with Syrians.
It's one Jewish state. There's one Jewish state. There's all these Muslim countries, okay? And that's fine. Israel doesn't want them to go away. They just want to be left alone in their one little country the size of New Jersey. And again, the Jews are not the problem in this country. And Tucker Carlson right now, he's doing a 5-part series on 9/11. I wonder where that road will lead us to. I wonder where it's going to lead us to.
So again, anti-Semitism is bad, but Islamophobia, that's okay.
I'm still watching.
the Jew Lane, that's where it's going. The Jew Lane, Jew Parkway.
Right.
That's it's interesting, and we'll end it on this. But Stella, like I don't know why people, like, I'm not afraid of Judaism, right? There's no really fear factor. I'm not afraid of Jews. The Jews to me have been very peaceful. And when I went to Israel, they were peaceful. These Islamic extremists, and I don't know if they're extremists or not. Like, I got killed over me saying this, but I'm like, I think it's just people just following Islam. I mean, I think people that are not violent are the ones that have like watered it down. They've Americanized it. They've taken it to a level where it's peaceful but the actual words of Muhammad and how he operated seems to be very consistent with some of these radical people in Islam. And
you know, it's always funny how it's always like Islam is the worst, and you know, these Islamic terrorists, and they throw these terms out, right? But true people who follow Islam know that it's nothing but peace, you know. It's all about having peace and stability and life lessons, just like the Bible teaches you life lessons, right? And if we're going to be honest, the most dangerous religion, more than likely, is Christianity. I mean, let's be honest, when the Europeans colonized all these nations, how did they first introduce themselves? You know, they introduced religion. And then this is how they were able to overthrow and take over nations. Like, come on now. Like, we can't play no games. Like, we're not about to do that. And it's so crazy because we're still talking about America. We're still allies when it comes to Saudi Arabia. And you know where all those Islamic terrorists came from? Saudi Arabia. But yet they're not on the ban list. We're not invading them. And it was all but 2, I believe, that were from other countries. I think Pakistan was the other ones. But again, you know, Saudi Arabia is a country that should be on our radar, but we're cool with them. So all that talk and all the narratives that they try to throw out there, y'all do y'all research, because again, they'll have you believing like, oh, all these people are all terrorists and they're all this and that, not knowing that, hey, a terrorist is a terrorist, and somebody who follows Islam or who is Muslim, they're not evil people. You know, they're just human beings. Hey, the people who live in this country, they're American. So again, what are you talking about? But like I said, they wanted to defend, you know, anti-Semitism, but it's okay to be Islamophobic. That's what they're telling you right now in this video. And again, shout out to Candace. I see why she keeps her foot on their necks, because again, to say that you can't say anything, and mind you, I don't believe in blaming Jews and Israel for everything, right? But you can't say anything. You have to be silent about everything. No criticism, no nothing. I have a problem with that. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, y'all. This was a good show. And like I said, I'm finally happy that he addressed and put her name in the title and finally said something, because it was making no sense why he was throwing all these subliminals. Just say her name. If you got a problem, say it. All right, you guys. Love y'all. We out of here. Deuces.